Welcome back to Mud and Munitions. This is your host, Jeff. Appreciate everyone tuning in to my last video on the CZ P07. I did have a lot of questions about what holsters or what holster I'm using for that gun, so wanted to do a video today on what I'm using. I'm actually using 3 different holsters. I'll get into them. I'm using 2 by JM Custom Kydex. One is light bearing. We'll get into this. The other one is not light bearing, both in the waistband appendix. And then I went with another company for an outside the waistband light bearing holster as well. And before we get into these holsters, one of the things I did want to talk about is what I look for when it comes to holsters, right? It's very important. Obviously, anytime you're concealed carrying or using something as an everyday carry, it's very important you get the holster correct. The holster and a belt are probably your 2 most important things, obviously along with the pistol that you're going to be carrying. But what I really look for is quality, what kind of clips, what kind of belt clips the holster comes with, the fit of the holster, right? You want to make sure that that trigger guard is protected. That's super important. Comfort is a big thing. And then options, right? You want to make sure, depending on if you're running a red dot, you want to make sure that that company has an optics cut. If you're going to be running a light, and we'll get into that, right? Depending on what light you're running, it might be more difficult to find a holster for that specific light. Things like suppressor height sights, a claw. If you're going to be running a claw on the holster, we'll get a little more in detail on that, but this right here is what they call a wing claw. Really for appendix only, and then obviously personal things like colors and designs and whatever else you might be into from a holster perspective. Let's start off with the JM Custom Kydex. I said on a previous video, when it comes to carrying appendix, for the moment, and keep this in mind, right? I'm new to concealed carrying. I'm from New York. I'm going to do another video on that. Once again, we won the Bruin decision, so now we can carry. But when it comes to carrying appendix, I really only feel comfortable for the moment with a hammer-fired pistol. So obviously, we're talking about the CZ P07, and I have my light on it. I have a Streamlight TLR 7A Flex, as you can see. So for me, having a light bearing holster is very important, right? I want to be able to identify a target. I use my P07 for not only concealed carry, but also home defense, right? So this sits on my night table at night, like having a light on it to identify anything that might be a threat. Let's start with the JM Custom Kydex. This is their light bearing holster. Both companies I'm going to talk about have a lot of the options, if not all the options that I mentioned. So while I don't have an optic right now on the P07, this gun is cut for this holster, I believe, is cut for an optic. You can see it fits in there very nicely with the light. Gives you that click, it gives you that retention. These are the clips that I went with, and before I go any further, the name of this holster by JM Custom Kydex is their custom AIWB, which is appendix in the waistband, wing claw 2.5 light bearing. I'll go ahead and try to put a link in the description, but what I really love about this, they also have an option for teardrop. So when you're wearing this holster, it gives it a little more room when it's up against your body. But from a quality perspective, I'm very happy with JM. You can see in there, let me just see if I can get a little bit of a better light on that. You can see, with a light bearing holster, you always have a little bit more of a gap than you do with a holster without a light. Not enough where I think something can get in there and do anything, but you can see how it protrudes out a little bit more than something without a light. And what I'll do is take the light off of this. Obviously, the gun is unloaded. I always say that they're unloaded. But in the meantime, while I do have the light on this pistol, Let me go ahead and move over now to the Odin outside of the waistband holster. Being I live in New York, I'm in the Northeast, it's getting towards that season where, we're wearing hoodies and sweaters and other things. So it's very easy for me to get away with an outside the waistband holster if I'm wearing a hoodie or a jacket or whatever. Once again, great retention with the light. I really, really like this holster by Odin. As you can see, it curves. It's got that curve for the hip. It's got these nice, solid, I guess it's a hard plastic, but very nice, solid, and probably some kind of polymer. The holster is Kydex. I will only use Kydex holsters, but very, very good retention. Once again, light bearing does have a little bit of room right there by the trigger guard, but other than that, I mean, it is very well protected. Another thing, and I apologize, I'm sweating. I got these bright lights on me. I'm trying to get more light in the studio. What I should get is a friggin' fan, which I'll get in a few weeks. But anyway, another thing about these holsters is the guard. This is a full guard, meaning it comes up when it sits against your body. It's protecting the gun from any sweat, anything like that. If I go back to the JM Custom Kydex, they also have the option for a mid guard, a full guard, or no guard. This one I did, I believe, a mid guard. I like to switch it up here and there. And if you give me 1 minute, I'll be right back so we can show you the non-light bearing holster from JM Custom Kydex and how that fits. All right, folks, we're back. I took the Streamlight off. There are times when I do want to just carry the P07 without a light. This was the first gun I bought, by the way. I really, really, once again, just friggin' love this pistol. But here's the JM Custom Kydex. This is their AIWB. For those who don't know, that's appendix in the waistband. This is their Wing Claw 2.0. Obviously, no light. And once again, this is the Wing Claw, or what they call a wing. Sits right here. It's probably not the best view, but usually comes with 2 different levels. You can have a low one or a high one, but when you clip this in, your belt comes under the clips. It's going to grab the wing right here, which keeps it more tucked up against your body, which I really love. The cool thing is, on the light-bearing JM Custom Kydex holster, it gave you the option to have a removable teardrop. Once again, that's kind of, push it away from your body a little so the barrel isn't pointed at some of those special parts. With the non-light bearing holster, it has that teardrop built into the Kydex. Now, I did go with a carbon fiber color on this one. I do like it a lot. And this one has different clips than the mono clips. See how these 2 clips sit shorter? These 2 clips are more spread out. As far as carrying it, I really don't see a difference in comfortability. I love them both. So as far as from a comfort perspective, all 3 of these holsters are very comfortable. Obviously, outside the waistband is always going to be more comfortable, right? I live in New York. Concealed carry, you can't print, you can't do a lot of different things. So I really always want to make sure I have what fits the best. You always have, nothing is always going to be super comfortable. When you talk about guns and carrying a gun every day, it's not that it's about it's going to feel great. It's the level of comfort you're going to get, right? I mean, this is about safety and everything else, not a luxury of having something feel really great like a cummerbund on a tuxedo. And trust me, those don't feel great either. So anyway, I don't know where I was going with that. But long story short, these are the 3 holsters, in my personal opinion, that I really like for the CZ P07. When I did my Glock video on a Glock 20 Gen 5, I'm using actually different holsters for that. I'm not loyal to any specific company. Whatever gun I'm wearing, using for concealed carry, really dictates the holsters I go with. I love JM Custom Kydex. I like Odin. I've used Vetter in the past. And a big reason for that is when you are wearing a light on your pistol, you know, not every company had a light bearing holster for the Streamlight TLR 7A Flex. A lot of companies have them for the Surefire 300. That's great that everybody can, you know, people can spend $300 to $400 on a flashlight. I'm going to be doing a review on those as well compared to the Streamlight. But, you know, some companies only offer light bearing holsters for 2 to 3 different lights. So that's something else to consider. While you might want a holster from a specific company, they might not yet make it with that specific light that you're looking for. So one thing to keep in mind, always do your research when it comes to holsters. These are just my personal opinions. I love sharing stuff like this with you folks. To give you some cost on holsters, the JM Custom Kydex, I believe both of these I paid $85 for. Once again, the JM Custom Kydex. I believe they were both $85, depending what options you go with. If you're doing an optics cut, they might charge you an extra $5 for that. Obviously, they're going to charge you a little bit more for some custom colors. But other than that, that's roughly what I paid. Always Google promo codes, because you will find promo codes for some of these things, which will save you another $10, $15, which adds up. And for the Odin outside the waistband holster, for this one I paid $90. So I forgot if I had any other options on this. I believe I also had an optics cut. Other than that, not much. So anyway, both under $100, which I find really reasonable for a good, nice Kydex holster, especially one that's light bearing. So anyway, thanks for tuning in. Hit like, hit subscribe. We got some, I always say, we got a lot more cool videos. As you can see, got a new pickup. Got that Ruger-made Marlin 1895 SPL. Going to take that bad boy out, do a video on that at the range. Plus, I got the New York compliant Colt M4 match target. Shot some quick shorts on that. We're going to do a review on that, what makes it compliant in New York. But listen, appreciate you guys tuning in. Keep commenting. Hit like, hit subscribe, and see you soon. Take care.